Why is the world being challenged right now? Why are certain people experiencing certain things that they didn't expect they were going to experience? Why is it that a lot of people are going through adversity? Why is it that a lot of people are going through challenges? Because a lot of people right now are being challenged. A lot of people right now are being forced to be in a state of adversity. A lot of people are being forced to face certain fears, have certain realizations around their career, around their jobs, around their relationships, around certain things that used to be in alignment but are not in alignment anymore. And this is a really powerful thing happening on the planet that some people are calling the Great Awakening. A lot of people are being challenged in a way that they never thought they were going to be challenged. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you why the world is being challenged right now and how these challenges may seem negative on the surface. Why these challenges may seem like something that shouldn't be happening on the surface, but I'm going to be sharing with you why these challenges are actually a good thing from a certain perspective and are actually leading us to a deeper state of peace and joy and alignment with who we really are and what we're really supposed to be doing on this planet at this time. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. So what some people are calling what's happening on the planet right now is they're calling what's happening on the planet right now the Great Awakening. And this Great Awakening, I want you to understand that this Great Awakening has a lot of negative connotation attached to it, this label of the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is not something happening out there in the world, it's just an internal awareness, and it's having more awareness of certain things that were not in awareness before come up to the surface. That's all it is. Certain things about our past, certain things about our childhood, our traumas, maybe our value systems, what we value in the world, what we really want to create. Like some people thought they valued money. Now they're realizing maybe they valued peace more, because the job that they used to do brought them a lot of money, but it's not bringing them fulfillment anymore. And this is a really serious thing happening on the planet. Like a lot of people are genuinely realizing they don't like their career path. And that's a huge shift for somebody to go through. And I want you to understand that this label of the Great Awakening is an internal shift happening. It's just an increase in awareness. That's all it is. Imagine like in a video game, you increase a certain skill set. People are just having more awareness around their life. That's it. It's that simple. It's that, like, that's the best way to communicate it. It's just more awareness, more consciousness, more awareness of certain things that were not in awareness before are coming up to the surface. And so why is the world being challenged right now? I want you to understand that what the universe is kind of doing, in my opinion, based on my personal experience, my individual experience, is it's actually pushing people to surrender. Because when adversity and challenge comes, what that does is that leads us to a state of surrender and acceptance. And that brings you closer to peace. Peace and joy is not necessarily about feeling good in your body or not being challenged. Because the universe and the world will bring challenges. But the question is, are you going to resist those challenges? And so what's happening is that what happens is people usually wake up to who they are and they start to question their reality, and they start to get into a deeper state of joy and peace and acceptance and love when they are faced with challenges. And why is that? Because what happens is that it's almost like you can't be peaceful if you're totally comfortable. And that sounds a little bit confusing, but it's almost like when you actually are faced with a challenge, that's the catalyst to then fully accept the challenge and realize that your mind was creating the resistance the whole time. Because it's not necessarily the external situations that create suffering in our life. And this is going to be hard to hear for a lot of people, but the truth is that external situations are not actually what creates suffering. It's the internal resistance that we have to the present moment. And so the universe is literally pushing people to realize that they do not have to be living in resistance. It's interesting how spiritual awakening works. Even spiritual awakening, it has a negative connotation attached to it. It's interesting how it works because what happens is that when you're faced with a challenge, it seems negative on the surface, but if you fully accept that challenge, it can make you enter a state of joy and peace and acceptance and surrender. When that challenge is fully accepted, when you don't resist that challenge, when you allow that challenge to be there, no matter how negative it may seem, it actually brings you to a state of surrender and peace and joy. And you have to understand that awakening and peace is almost always, based on my experience, my individual experience, what I've seen happen to other people, and basically what I'm seeing happening on the entire planet right now, is awakening to who we are. And awakening to who we are and peace is usually found in extreme challenges. Why is that the case? Why is it the case that when we experience extreme challenges, maybe with our health, maybe with our business, maybe with our relationships, with our money, then we find peace? It's because the mind thinks that external reality is actually creating suffering. But that's not true. The truth of the matter is that the only thing creating suffering is the resistance to the present moment. And so this challenge that's happening on the planet right now is bringing people closer to a state of deep acceptance. You have to understand, I know this is hard to hear for a lot of people, but you have to understand that adversity has nothing to do with your suffering. That's hard to accept for a lot of people. I've experienced a lot of health issues in my life. I've experienced a lot of issues, with relationships, with family sometimes. And so I know this is hard to see for a lot of people, but what I've actually found in my experience is that the mind is what creates resistance, which also creates suffering. No matter how negative a situation may seem, it's actually the mind and the resistance to the present moment that creates the suffering and the problem. That doesn't mean that you're not going to feel challenged. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be a feeling of discomfort. In fact, discomfort can be really strong. The whole planet is pretty uncomfortable right now. They're feeling a lot of discomfort. But I believe that it's actually pushing the entire... This has been happening on an individual level for years now. So many people happen to me, happen to other people. But collectively, in the entire planet, people are being forced to accept the adversity. Accept the discomfort, accept the denseness of the situation. And then what that leads you to is a realization that the mind creates the suffering, not the situation. The mind is what created the suffering the whole time. We thought it was the lack of money. We thought it was the lack of a relationship. We thought that it was the situation, but then we realized that actually our thoughts was creating resistance the whole time. The story that we have in our mind is what creates the resistance. I am going to go as far, if you don't believe me when I say that all of your suffering is created by the mind, if you don't believe me when I say that, I don't expect you to believe me ever in these videos, because believing me doesn't help a person grow, but investigating these truths for yourself and questioning and contemplating is what actually allows you to grow. Here's what I'll say to make it more relatable. I would say that about 10% of suffering has to do with actual physical challenges, health issues, and adversity. The other 90% is the mind adding gasoline to the fire. The fire being the situation, gasoline is all of the problems that people are saying are problems. It's not the problem that is the problem. The problem is the mind. It's not the situation. When I see the word problem in my mind, that equals mind. Problem equals mind. If there is no mind, there is no problem. That's what people are awakening to on the planet right now. And so you're thinking, Francis, this sounds a little bit esoteric. This is a little bit unrelatable. How does this connect practically to my life? Well, you have to realize that what this is leading to is when you start to realize that your mind was creating suffering, that the mind was actually living in fear its whole life. People are living their whole life. They've been living in fear. They've been living in a state of resistance, running away from uncertainty, running away from discomfort. Their whole life, they've been running away from discomfort and challenges and uncertainty and following the path of their dreams because they realized that because they were afraid to actually face that discomfort and those challenges that would actually lead them down the path of what they want. And when I say discomfort and challenges, it sounds like, oh my gosh, that's intimidating. No, challenges, discomfort, and uncertainty can be the most peaceful and blissful experience of your life only if you realize that your mind is creating resistance. Because when I say that, I tell a story, for example, that I had to deal with challenges, that I had to deal with adversity following my path the last year, the last 2 years. I had to deal with these issues. I had to deal with these objections with family. On the outside world, to the outside world, it sounds like, oh man, Francis went through a lot of challenges with his health, with his business, with his friendships. But I want you to understand that these challenges actually brought me to a state of peace. These challenges actually brought me to a state of acceptance. And this is what's happening on the planet right now. Is because you realize that the mind was creating resistance, that the mind was creating all the resistance, all the suffering. The mind was trying to run away from uncertainty and live in fear and live into the secure path, which was an illusion the entire time. What happened is that people start to question their path. People start to question, is this job really something that I want to be doing right now? And when I made these videos in the past, I was thinking, like, because it's true, like people are actually questioning their path. But then I started to do more consultations for people that actually are going through this, and I'm starting to realize that a lot of people are actually questioning their path. Like, you watch some of these Great Awakening videos and it sounds kind of esoteric, a little bit unrelatable, but it's true. People, like, there's a lot of people that are literally questioning their entire life right now. Their entire life right now is being put into question. Is this the right job for me? The money that I've been making, is this how I want to keep making money? Do I really want to keep going on this path? Because they're realizing that their mind has been living a lie. They've been living in a lie, living a life for somebody else. Living a life where fear was controlling them. Realizing that their mind has been creating resistance the entire time, and then that resistance that the mind was creating almost kept people in a path of resistance. It's interesting because what you resist persists. And then if you're unconsciously creating resistance in your life, you're going to be living on a path and a timeline that is in alignment with that resistance. But at the moment that you realize that your mind is creating resistance and that your mind was creating all the suffering, it's like, wait a second, what do I want to do with my life now? Because this whole time I was trying to avoid uncertainty and avoid resistance, and now I realized that my mind was creating it the whole time. What do I really want to do with my life now? Like, what's the next step for me is what a lot of people are asking. People are thinking, I was creating this false path, this lie my whole life, and now I don't like this anymore. So what's the alternative? People are questioning their path. And what this is leading to, why people are being challenged, is to, one, realize that the mind was creating resistance, that the mind was creating the fear, that the mind was resisting the present moment, and also people are finding the path of least resistance. This means that people are finding the path that they really want to live. Not a path for somebody else. Not a path because somebody else wants something for them. Not a path because their family wanted something for them, because their mind was scared of uncertainty. They're not living into a path where their mind was creating uncertainty, was scared of uncertainty and didn't want to go into uncertainty. But you see, mind is tricky. The mind is really tricky because what happens is that when you're in resistance, you keep trying to live into a path that is in alignment with that resistance. And so people are actually finding the path of least resistance where they don't have to be in alignment with fear anymore. They can actually live the life that they really want. Not for their family, not for their friends, but the path where they're truly aligned with a state of non-resistance. Now here's the key. This path of least resistance that I'm talking about, don't confuse this for some blissful, beautiful path. It is going to be blissful, it is going to be beautiful, but don't confuse this for some path where it's all beautiful in the sense where there's not going to be challenges and there's not going to be, situations that arise that are adverse. Not at all. It's the opposite. The uncertain path is the challenging path. This is the challenging path. People are being challenged right now. The Great Awakening is not some beautiful thing where everything, like the Great Awakening is beautiful. There's going to be synchronicity. There's going to be an acceptance. There's going to be a joy. But challenge is what brings you to those states. And then as you continue, you're still going to be challenged, but your response and your relationship to those challenges will shift, which will then bring you closer to a state of peace. The people that follow their dreams are continually challenged on a daily basis. But the relationship that they have to those challenges is completely different than the people that respond to those same challenges on the planet. There's other people that respond to those same challenges that resist those challenges. They're not ready for those challenges in life. But when you start to wake up to who you are, you're going to find the path of least resistance. But that means you're going to be challenged more, but you're going to resist less. Less internal resistance. Less resistance to the present moment. Less resistance to your true path, because your true path is going to bring adversity. And people are realizing that they want to follow that, because the scarier path is the path of comfort. You think that the scariest path is to follow the path of uncertainty? You think that the scariest path is to follow your true path and follow the path of your dreams and live your own life? I would argue that it's actually scarier to live in comfort and live in a path that you don't want to live into. I would say that's scarier. For me personally, it's much scarier to live into a life that I hate, that I don't enjoy, that I resist my whole life, and then I feel regrets by the time I get older. That's scarier to me. I would rather face the challenges and the adversities and accept them. And I'm gonna finish out the video like this. When I say words like challenges and adversity, it sounds like I'm saying you have to push yourself to be totally uncomfortable. That's kind of what I'm saying. And it's also that what's happening is the universe is pushing people. Like, even if you're gonna push into your dream, doesn't matter. The universe is making it happen for people right now. Whether they're ready for it or not, the universe is pushing people into adversity. And these challenges are going to arise in life, but you have two options. Either you fall into victim, and you fall into a space of being a victim and you stay on the path of resistance, or you fully accept the challenge that arises in the present moment and you use it as a reason to move deeper into your truth, to move deeper into the present moment, to move deeper into who you really are and the path that you're really meant to follow. Challenges can do two things. They can either break you down and make you completely miserable, and you can be living in the worst experience of your life, or they can be so negative, so challenging that you fully accept that challenge, and it brings you to a state of peace and acceptance and joy. And from that state of acceptance, and when I say joy, it doesn't mean you're not going to feel good it doesn't mean you're going to feel good in your body necessarily. Feeling good in your body and feeling joyful could be a result of acceptance, but it starts off as fully accepting the challenge first. And the more that you realize that this challenge is going to happen, these challenges are happening, and the more that we accept these challenges as they are, that is going to lead us down the path of our truth, the path that is in alignment with our dreams, the path that we really want to live, the path of least resistance that will create a win-win for the entire planet. You win, and the planet wins as well. And the key is to be fully in alignment with the path of least resistance, and that is why the world is being challenged right now. The world is being challenged right now to connect deeper to their truth. The world is being challenged right now to be more in alignment with your true path and what it is that you're truly meant to be doing. So that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.